You're on bar. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm sorry. Me and Robert Deers apologize for the technical difficulties that we had. We probably had a 10-minute delay in that we found out that we weren't on the air. If you guys are just tuning in right now, we just talked about the Giants. This is a Bay Area sports show. It's pretty much on all Bay Area in the state of California, in the United States. Here on the national sports radio station, it's the Deits and Stevens All Sports Show. This is part 2, and just a quick breakdown of what we were talking about on the first part. We were talking about the Giants fan who threw the banana towards Orioles outfielder Adam Jones, and we talked about that along with Jeremy Schnell, who is going to be also on the show later today, talking to us about some Seahawks football, as me and Robert will discuss about some Niners football and how that relates with a certain division in the National Football League. Then we're just talking about Tim Liscombe and how he's getting back on track, and overall how the Giants have been struggling on the pitching end of things. And then lastly, we're talking about the Dodgers, and we'll wrap this up before we go to some A's talk, since this is a all Bay Area sports show. Let's go straight to the Dodgers. We were talking about their pitching before we got off the air. How do you think how has their pitching really produced, this effort, putting up a 37-8 mark overall as a team during this market, having a 2.62 ERA as a starting hole for this team at Chavez Ravine?
Oh, this has been great. This team has really been carried by the pitching. You got, with Kershaw, Greinke, and Ryu, they've just been phenomenal. They got double-digit wins right now, Clayton Kershaw with 11, Greinke with 10, and Ryu with 11 as well. This team is really going to be doing well. I think it's going to be between the Braves and Dodgers for that World Series spot, and I can't wait to see the matchup, and it will be very interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I think that the Dodgers will be a contender along with the Braves, along with the Cardinals, along with the Pirates. For those teams, will probably be in the postseason from the National League, and that's very. It looks very just competitive. I was trying to get that word out, and it's going to be very hard to tell who's going to be the real team that comes out of it. A lot of people are saying the Braves are going to be that team that's going to be really coming out strong and, being as consistent as they are, even losing their starting pitcher, and it seems like their ace, Tim Hudson, due to his injury. They're just getting better, and just Upton's starting to get hot again. BJ Upton, Freddie Freeman, as usual, hitting like a man with his bear hugs. And Dan Uggla is still hitting well, and everybody in Atlanta on the Braves team, it's just they're coming up together and really producing, what Braves baseball used to be from 1995, 2006, with their consistent runs to the playoffs. So now let's transfer to another topic right now. Let's go to the A's now, and let's talk about a certain guy who's been flip-flopping around the American League West. Adam Rosales, former infielder for the A's, was actually claimed on waivers from Oakland on Monday. He was actually acquired on August 5th, but on Monday, today, he actually got sent back to Texas. Robert, how do you feel about this?
I think the A's, lost a good player. Adam Rosales is a great player for this team, and Texas right now is making a lot of good moves. They got Alex Rios, a guy that really has stepped up and played for the White Sox. Now he's playing for the Rangers, and I really liked how he's played these last couple of days. The Rangers are making smart moves right now, and the Rangers are trying to beat the A's, as the A's are a game back from the Texas Rangers. Texas can maybe take this one away from the A's just barely.
Yeah, these teams are similar, the Rangers and the A's, because they are fighting for a spot in the playoffs. as the American League West crown will be the only way any team from that division will make to the playoffs. With the Rangers, being red hot now and the A's really being cold as of right now, even though Josh Reddick hit 5 home runs in 2 nights over up there in Canada. We'll get to that shortly after this. But, the Rangers have a 1-game lead now after trailing 6 games to the A's on July 30th, and how bizarre that's been in only a span of 15 days. The A's did get him on August 5th, and it seems like why would you give up a guy that might be a key player in the offensive end or defensive end? For Alan Mozeliak, he's not the best player in the world, he's not the worst player in the world, but he could be a role player in a way, like in the NBA they say that. Rosales was actually designated for assignment on August 5th to make room for Joey Butler, an outfielder in the Rangers system, who was recalled when Nelson Cruz, their big-time outfielder over there in Arlington, was suspended 50 games for his involvement in the biogenesis case. So, for Alan Rosales' case, how does this affect, the race in the American League West?
I think the race in the American League West just got way more competitive. Texas, but also go back to Alex Rios. Alex Rios was one of the best pickups the Texas Rangers could get. But getting Adam Rosales and you're taking away an Oakland Athletic is even better. You're pretty much telling the A's, hey, we want to win this American League West, and we're just going to take players from you because that's the best way. That's the best way to be competitive. This is what General Manager John Daniels said. Adam is a quality big league infielder. We've always liked the way he goes about the game and the energy he brings. As our circumstances have changed over the past week or so, it changed our ability to carry him. We're glad to get a second chance at it. And the Rangers are going to get back one of their quality players from, when the A's took away Adam Rosales, the Rangers come back and say, hey, we want our player back.
Yeah, Rosales at the age of 30 has batting .191 in the year with 4 home runs and 8 RBIs in 51 games this year. He was claimed on Thursday, and played the following day at Toronto. He was then designated for assignment by Oakland 2 days ago. So, like GM John Daniels said, it just goes by the situation, the circumstances that go on each and every day in Major League Baseball. Let's go back actually to the standings and how that's going right now in Major League Baseball overall. We took a look at the National League West and how the Dodgers have been dominating over there in the last 2 months. Let's go over to the American League first in the East. This competition is just, we'll be going with this quickly before we actually change sports to the National Football League. But first, let's talk about the American League East and how competitive this has been the entire year. Boston, they have 3 more wins this year that they had of all last year. How do you think Boston has, let themselves out from that 1 year, desolate of, disappointment?
The coaching staff has really changed. I like how Boston has been going about this. Bobby Valentine obviously was not even an answer to Boston. And, I'm really liking how their offense is. You got David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia, and they're just doing good right now. I really like how this team came together. They got Jake Peavy at the trade deadline. A good pickup for the Boston Red Sox, a team that could just use some more pitching. They're 39-21 at home, 32-20 on the road. They're doing good both ways, and I can't wait for this team to actually go out and start winning some more games. They are going to take this. They're going to take this AL East with ease, and Tampa Bay's 3 games back. Baltimore 4.5.
Yeah, I think. Like you said, Robert, Boston, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore will be the 3 teams out of the AL East that will represent that division in the playoffs. Let's go to the AL Central. We have a little bit of similarity between the Detroit Tigers and the Boston Red Sox. They traded players in that 3-team trade along with the White Sox, but Boston gave away one of their best infielders for the future, and that is Jose Iglesias. Detroit has him starting now because Johnny Peralta got suspended due to his connection to biogenesis. And that was probably the biggest pickup that for the entire trade deadline, in my opinion. I think that Detroit, expected that Peralta was going to be suspended, and they got a great pickup from that trade. And even though they sent one of their best minor league prospects to Chicago for that. They'll take that any day of the week. As they're 8-2 in the last 10, and with their great series win against Cleveland just recently, they have extended their lead in the AL Central to 7 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians, and then after that, Kansas City, Minnesota, and Chicago rounds that out. Let's get Robert back in the picture. AL West. At the end of the day, who's going to win this division?
Man, this is tough, and I think I'm going to have to go with Texas. I mean, Texas got Alex Rios, and they did just get Adam Rosales. They're really adding their offense, especially because of Nelson Cruz with his biogenesis situation getting suspended for the 50 games. Texas is really trying to just get big players, and Alex Rios has been replacing Nelson Cruz right now, which has been good for this team. And, this race is going to be competitive. It's going to come down the wire, and this is a good race between these two teams. This is what happened last year as Oakland came down to that last game and they won the AL West, and that's what could happen to Oakland again.
I feel like Oakland will win it. I think they'll have the magic that they had last year to get it done, and I don't see why the A's can't do it, especially with the team that they have. The A's beat Texas out of the American League West title with Josh Hamilton and with Nelson Cruz for the entire year. And even though Texas picked up a couple good guys, they picked up Matt Garza at the trade deadline, and then they picked up Alex Rios just recently. The Oakland A's can still do it with the team that they have. And Bartolo Colon is better than last year, and he's actually with the team now since he didn't get suspended. He got suspended 50 games last year. Now he's on the team for the entire year this year. And, I think Oakland could do it. But I want to point out one more thing before we transition over to the National League Central. We talked about the NL East. There's nothing really to talk about. Atlanta's going to win it easy. Los Angeles Angels. Why does it seem like the Angels pick up these high-caliber players and they get worse? They get worse as a team.
They become those players that just don't even get talked about anymore. Josh Hamilton, Albert Pujols, C.J. Wilson, Dan Herron. Wow, Dan Herron used to be really good. I don't know what happened to him.
Dan Herron's on the Nationals now.
Oh, he's on the Nationals now.
Yeah, that team is struggling too. Just the injury bug hit them as well as Colorado. But Washington got hit hard with it. Pitching, it's just everybody got injured over there in Washington. That's all I have to say about Washington. Let's go back to you about Los Angeles.
But, you look at the Los Angeles Angels and you look at the Toronto Blue Jays, two teams that really get high-quality players, and they can't really do anything with it. But you see Oakland with just young talent, and they come together and they work hard. And, it just, I think what the Angels did was try to buy people that could work, that, were good last year in their good prime, and now they're in their old prime, and they're not doing very well. And this team has just gone down this team has not done very well. Now next year, could we see a spark from the LA Angels?
I don't know. They're unexpected. They get better, and then they get better with the caliber of players that they're picking up, and at the same time they get worse. They have Mike Trout. They have Albert Pujols. They have Josh Hamilton. They have C.J. Wilson. They had Jared Weaver for so many years. They signed him to an extension. They just don't get better.
They get worse.
Yeah, they get worse. They're 53 and 63. I don't know how that's the case. Maybe their pitching needs to be better, and they need.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The relievers need to get way better.
Yeah, Ryan Madsen. He didn't play a single. He probably played pitched a couple innings during the year, but he had that arm problem, and that took him out for most of the season. Then they released him. But anyway, the Angels, they're just not doing well at all.
Does it even matter?
Yeah, exactly. But I just want to see your reaction, and I want to see and listen to your reaction about the Angels and their problems over there in Anaheim. Lastly, let's go to the NL Central. There's nothing in the NL East. We already took care of the NL West. The NL Central, Pirates, Cardinals, and Reds. Those three teams looking good. Like the AL East, it seems like there will be another three teams coming from one division that's going to be making the playoffs. Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Cincinnati. At the end of the day, what's the result after Game 162 from this division? Do you think Pittsburgh will still keep the NL Central? They'll have to live with a wild card spot, and St. Louis takes home the NL Central crown once again.
No, St. Louis won't take it. Pittsburgh's way too hot right now. I like how Andrew McCutchen, Pedro Alvarez has been playing a lot. This offense has really came alive. Pittsburgh, I think, could take it. I know it's been a while, but this team has really, I think, got all their players that they need, all their pitching, offense. And this team is just going to take it. And you look at Atlanta, a team that really came up with some, big pickups, B.J. Upton, Justin Upton, and look how much this team has done this year. And, I can't wait to see what happens in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm going to be very interested in what happens. Definitely the fact that the wild card game is going to be two NL Central teams in the Reds against the Cardinals or the Pirates and that such. It's going to be very competitive, and one of those teams are going to be playing the Braves, and that's going to be a very hard challenge that some teams going to be trying to face up to. And I'm going to be very interested in seeing that, as the weeks goes on, heading into postseason play, into the beautiful month in baseball as it is October. Let's actually transition to a different sport. Let's go now to some football, and to the gridiron we go in the National Football League. Let's talk about first the San Francisco 49ers, and let's go to the big recent news. Alex Smith, former quarterback for the Niners, who lost his job last year in the middle of the year to Colin Kaepernick, still a good friend, according to Jim Harbaugh, the head coach for the Niners, but their trusted agent, I can put that in quotations for trusted agent, that's no longer the case. The Niners and the Kansas City Chiefs facing off on Friday in a preseason game, the second for both teams. Smith is expected to start and play the early portion of the game, but what's your reaction to that, especially the fact that Jim Harbaugh and Alex Smith, having that postseason run in 2011 and having a great run during the regular season last year before Smith got hurt, what's your reaction to this?
Jim Harbaugh and Alex Smith had a really good connection. Yeah, what you said during the regular season and the postseason. These two were really connected, and, Jim Harbaugh believed in Alex Smith, gave him a second chance, and, 2010 he thought it was going to be his last game as a Niner. And then, Jim Harbaugh comes to the picture and say, hey, we still want Alex Smith back. And Jim Harbaugh said, I believe I can change him, and he did. Now, unfortunately, that injury really lost Alex Smith's job in the prime of his career. But, you look at him now and you say, hey, he's going to have a job with Kansas City. Maybe he could do something there. Probably might not be Denver, but, you got the Raiders. You got the Raiders and...
you got Kansas City, Raiders, Broncos, and Chiefs.
And the Chiefs.
The teams he's on. But definitely following up on that. Obviously they have a great friendship. Alex Smith has been a caddy to Jim Harbaugh when Harbaugh played in the celebrity golf tournament at Pebble Beach, the Pro-Am that they call it over there. And they have a great friendship, but on the field, it's over. Jim Harbaugh moved on with the fact that he doesn't have Alex Smith anymore, and that he changes most of his offense to help out Colin Kaepernick and make it easier for him. Colin Kaepernick at the University of Nevada, his college, using that option a lot. And Jim Harbaugh wanted to do that as well, and that's the offense that's been changing the NFL in the last couple of years. And Jim Harbaugh, he felt like Colin Kaepernick was the right guy to do that, to change the offense with that. And it kind of worked out. They got to the Super Bowl, they didn't win it, and some people question, if Alex Smith was there, could he have won it? Could he have not won it? Could he not even make it the playoffs and all that stuff? But Robert, let's go to you one more time before we talk a little bit more about the Niners before another commercial break. At the end of the day, would Alex Smith come back to San Francisco if the opportunity was given to him?
And Colin Kaepernick's still there now because he wants to get a starting job wherever he can get it.
Well, what if Colin Kaepernick gets hurt? And maybe he just is out for the entire year, like a torn ACL or something like that.
I don't like Alex Smith back. I think Alex Smith, I just want to see how he does this year with a new team and transition. He's got Dwayne Bowe, very good wide receiver for Kansas City, and I can't wait to see how his team does this year. And, this preseason, are Jim Harbaugh and, Alex Smith going to shake hands and say hi to each other? That's a good question.
That's going to be well looked at the end of the game on Friday. Let's talk about the roster for the San Francisco 49ers. And what they have here is a very big roster, obviously. It's going to get very small as the regular season approaches, as 53 are required to be on a roster at week 1. But, for you, we both watched the Niner game against the Broncos in the first game of the preseason. What do you think, were the positives and the negatives out of this game?
Nani Asamoah, a man that really proved himself. He's trying to get a job right now for the defense, and he's done pretty well. He had a really big tackle. He's had 2 tackles that game. Anquan Bolden, a guy that's really got to, work for this team. He's going to be one of the main wide receivers this year. The linebacking core, you got Denaro Bowman, Ahmad Brooks, Patrick Willis, and Aldon Smith. That core has to do well this year. You got some also Greg Dahl, a guy that's we signed over the offseason, a good defender. I can't wait to see what he could do this year. Some other interesting names. Anthony Dixon has really got to fight for a spot this year. You got Kendall Hunter, and you still have LaMichael James that are trying to, get the top 2 or 3 spots as a running back. Right now, Frank Gore is at number 1.
And then you have Marcus Lattimore, who was drafted by the Niners in the 4th round at the University of South Carolina. So definitely competition for Anthony Dixon. But that was a bit of a risk to draft Marcus Lattimore with the injuries that he's had to his knees the past 2 years. That's all I have to say about that, really. Just why take the risk if you already have a healthy, good 3rd-string running back or 4th-string running back, in Anthony Dixon, who I just absolutely love as a player. Just the bulldog mentality that he had at Mississippi State as a bulldog. Ironically,
he's so big.
Yeah, he's an animal. He's a bulldog. Like I said, he is a bulldog, and he played for the Bulldogs in college, and that speaks a lot about him. And he's a true player to the 49ers, and he's an impact player in my opinion.
What do you think of quarterback Colt McCoy?
Why is he on the team? That's my question. Why is he on the team? He's not needed. He can be a backup, perfectly fine. You can be a backup all you want. But at the end of the day, Colt McCoy isn't the best quarterback that can be a backup. We can have better quarterbacks. We can have Nick Foles for all I care. We have Matt McGloin for the Raiders. I don't care. I just don't like Colt McCoy. I've never liked him. Hated him on the Browns. I liked it when he got knocked out by James Harrison, but Harrison got fined. That was a couple years ago. But,
I remember that hit.
Yeah, but Colt McCoy, he's never impressed me since he got drafted out of Texas. He's just never impressed me. He's not a great quarterback. He's a short quarterback. He's very small. And I think this is probably going to be his last job in the NFL. I don't think teams are going to really appreciate the fact that he's going to be, a possible quarterback for a team that, could be going to the playoffs or could be contending for something. I just can't see that happening. And I can't see that. I can't see him with the Niners. Just can't see it. It's a shame that he got signed. I don't like it. Robert, how do you think about what's your opinion about Colt McCoy?
He's not gonna do anything, of course. Colin Kaepernick's gonna be there all season. He's gonna be the starter. And let's go with the wide receiving core in SF.
Yeah.
You got AJ Jenkins, Mario Manningham, Crabtree hurt.
Yep.
And let's go with Charlie Martin. Anything.
Also, Chuck James, out of Utah State.
You got
He's
Chad
a
Hall.
local guy. Yeah, a lot of Ricardo Lockett as well. You have the Niners brought along a lot of wide receivers to see who could take the job.
Who about Marion Moore?
there are a lot of wide receivers in this list. And, Marion Moore, 4-year veteran out of Fresno State, where I just actually went during the weekend for a baseball camp. Just look at this list. There are a lot of wide receivers on this list. There are definitely going to be at least 2 or 3 that are going to be cut before week 1. But, some guys have to step up. A.J. Jenkins fumbling against the Broncos. That's really going to hurt him for his job. Trying to get a job, actually. That's going to really hurt him. He didn't play at all last year. And with that fumble, if he continues to do that during the preseason, that's going to be the case for him. He's just going to be a nice bench warmer over there in San Francisco. In the last year at Candlestick Park, before it is gone. And Levi Stadium will be home to the San Francisco 49ers. Let's go to a commercial break, guys. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Niners, then we'll take a roll for the Raiders. And then we'll talk about the Earthquakes, a little bit about the Earthquakes, and probably talk about a little bit about the Warriors and see how this year's going to be coming along as, a couple players will be gone, like Andres Bandras and Andrew Bogut. And one new player, the new notable player for the Warriors, Andre Iguodala. Yeah, Iguodala.
Iggy.
Yeah, Iggy. Robert, you're just weird. AI Jr., if you're comparing it to, Allen Iverson, who was great, and Andre Iguodala. When we come back to Deits and Stevens All Sports Show here on the National Sports Radio Station here on Spreaker.com.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to news, radio, and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Deits and Stevens All Sports Show. Stephen Hughes alongside Robert Dieters here on the National Sports Radio Station. Like us on Facebook and follow us here on Spreaker.com as well as Twitter.com and Instagram. That's very new. Nice Instagram account that we established just recently, actually. Robert, you have something to say?
Facebook is National Sports. Just like our page and, just comment wherever you want. We got our Twitter at National Sports 1. Please follow us. And we have Instagram national_sports.
Nice. That is nice and sexy. On the first part of the show, when we were talking about the Adam Jones and the banana incident, we had a special guest on, Jeremy Schnell of the National Sports Radio Station, a new member of the station. He's back online with us. And Jeremy, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Great to have you back. And let's talk about what you're mainly here for. You're a big Seahawks fan. You know a lot about the Seahawks, and Seahawks are in a division with the San Francisco 49ers in the race to possibly take out the Niners and their throne of NFC West titles. How do you think the Seahawks did in their first preseason game against the Chargers?
Well, I think you saw a lot of progress in some of the young players, like Alan Bradford, who had 7 tackles, actually. 7 tackles. 7 tackles for Alan Bradford. And then you had Benson Mayowa, who had about 2 sacks, I think. So that was good. And we're talking about the young players here. There was Byron Maxwell with the pick and also Chris Markins with a pick. So looking at there's already a good defense in place for the Seahawks, but you got a lot of young players coming up still who are backups to the really good players. So, it's looking good for the Seahawks on the defensive end. Now, let's go over the offensive end. No turnovers. That's the big thing that the Seahawks like to see. No turnovers. And Tavares Jackson played well, 8 for 9, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. And also Brady Quinn, another backup quarterback, 6 for 11, 59 yards, but also 1 touchdown. But the first preseason game looked good for the Seahawks as they played the Chargers. They beat them 31-10, and
Yeah, it looks like the first half really looked like a good defensive battle, 7-3 going to halftime. But after that, it's just an explosion of offense, 24-7. The Seahawks outscored them and end up winning 31-10. Great game overall for the Seahawks. And let's actually just go to the straight up question. Let's get the elephant out of the room. Me and Robert, supporters of the San Francisco 49ers, and you're the supporter of the Seattle Seahawks. You guys have been rivals for the last few years, especially the strength of the rivalry has continued to grow in the last couple of years. How do you think things will fare in the regular season in that NFC West?
Well, it's the key that it's a home field advantage, really, for both teams, because these teams are pretty evenly matched. And I think it's going to be the same as last year, where the Seahawks lose in San Francisco and the Seahawks beat the Niners in Seattle, because you can't beat the atmosphere in Seattle, And it's going to be a great matchup this year. Obviously, you want to see Colin Kaepernick and Russell Wilson throw for 500 yards each, but that's just not going to happen with the two defenses that are in place. And Seahawks will win at home, and then the Niners will win at home.
I totally agree. I mean, these are two teams that are going to be competitive. Last year they split, and I think this year they'll split once again. But it also depends on the schedules of each team. Depends who has the easier schedule at this point. And it's gonna be a good season for both of these squads. And I always like competition. I always like seeing the Niners and Seahawks play. The Niners won the first game 13-6, and then they just got blown out the next game. I was really disappointed in the Niners for that.
Oh yeah. Let's go to your final question. These two teams have something similar in them, and that's the quarterback. And Russell Wilson heading to his second year at the starting helm over there in Seattle, in his second season out of Wisconsin and NC State. He has a favorable matchup with a QB duel in that division with Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers. Between those two, how do you think things will fare against him? Like, which one will do better, which one will do worse? Colin Kaepernick, even though he is, it seems very mature as a starting quarterback, he's only heading into his first full year at the starting quarterback job for the 49ers.
Well, yeah, Russell Wilson he played phenomenal last year. No one expected him to come in week one, start and play amazing throughout the entire season. But it's been It's been a key thing for baseball players that have converted to football players, like Tom Brady, Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, those type of players. And you've seen it in the NFL, and it's translated to great players. And I don't know what that kind of means in baseball players being good at football, but do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I feel like Russell Wilson really shocked the NFL in beating out Matt Flynn, who got a reasonable contract from Seattle in the offseason. And just Russell Wilson, the short guy, kind of like similar to a Drew Brees in size, beating out Matt Flynn, who was supposed to be the favorable starter heading to Week 1 last year. It was a shocker, and he really led this team. And Pete Carroll made the great decision to do and choosing him as the starting quarterback. For Colin Kaepernick's sake, he might have some up and down games this year. I feel like, especially playing against Seattle at home, which he didn't really do that well against. He probably might have the struggle of having that again. And, the Niners playing some hard games this year as well. And I want to see how Colin Kaepernick handles that. He handled New England fine last year when the Niners took on the Tom Brady and the Patriots last year. But as the games go on and as the game goes harder, throughout the season, how will Colin Kaepernick, handle the pressure of 60,000 fans 8 games out of the year? Thank you very much, Jeremy, for being on hand. Jeremy Chanel, folks, a new member of the National Sports Radio Station. He'll be airing some new shows as the weeks go on. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Don't forget to listen to the Coast to Coast show, guys. Thanks for having me.
Coast to Coast, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to that show. It is phenomenal. Jeremy, thank you. And that was Jeremy Chanel, folks. He is amazing. He's an amazing new piece to the National Sports Radio Station. And let's now go to across the bay, and a team they're setting up in Napa right now. Let's talk about the Raiders and what they've been doing lately. Friday, they took on the Cowboys, the America's team, 19-17 win for the Raiders in Oakland. As an explosive third quarter surged them to a win. The Cowboys playing 5 preseason games after playing the Hall of Fame game in Canton against the Dolphins. They took the win over there in Ohio. The Raiders really doing it big. Bryce Butler from McGloin, a 30-yard pass that really put the exclamation point in the game for the Raiders and gave them the win. Even though the Cowboys did get a touchdown to take the 1-point lead in the fourth quarter, a field goal from Eddie Carmona, a 23-yarder, really sealed the deal. The Raiders taking the win there. We're concentrating only on Oakland, really. The Cowboys, they can concentrate on the on-self. They have Tony Romo, Kyle Orton, DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant, a lot of great players, Miles Austin. Let's just concentrate on Oakland. And their big, their big category in this game, in their first preseason game, was the passing. And, the quarterbacks, the 4 quarterbacks that played in this game, Terrell Pryor, Matt McGloin, Matt Flynn, and Tyler Wilson. How do you feel those players, did in this game for the Raiders?
Matt Flynn looks pretty good. I mean, he didn't get a lot of playing time, but, he's going to probably be most likely to start this year. You have Matt McGloin. I was really impressed. To tell you the honest truth, he went 4 for 7, 78 yards, and he had 1 touchdown. He went all the way. Very impressed by his debut, and, is this guy for real?
I feel like, he did show a lot of effort in his time at Penn State. And then for Matt Flynn, he's finally getting that opportunity to start. He didn't have, like I said earlier, when Jeremy was on the show, Matt Flynn didn't get the opportunity to start last year because he got beaten out by Russell Wilson over in Seattle. For Terrell Pryor, he's going to be the backup to Matt Flynn. Then for Matt McGloin, and then for Tyler Wilson, heading into his second year out of Arkansas, they're going to be fighting out for a third spot, and one of those guys will be probably cut at the end of the day. But for this competition, who do you think it will be? Will it be McGloin or Wilson that are going to be cut and leaving the Oakland Raiders?
Well, so far it's going to be Wilson getting cut. He didn't have a good debut. Matt McGloin so far getting that third string spot. And, Terrell Pryor went 6 of 10, 88 yards, and had 1 interception. And Matt McGloin having a winning drive, getting the touchdown. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Can Matt McGloin get maybe second string?
I don't think so. Terrell Pryor, he was a good pick for the Raiders in the supplemental draft last year. But I feel like Terrell Pryor locks up the number 2, the backup spot, even though he threw that interception. Terrell Pryor, along with his 6 for 10 for 88 yards on the passing end, he had 3 carries for 31 yards on the ground. And a couple players to look at on the rushing spectrum. Rashad Jennings, the former Jaguar, goes 9 carries for 39 yards. Then the notable Raider running back, Darren McFadden, 3 carries for only 5 yards. So pretty much all the main starters, not a lot of playing time. Matt Flynn 4 or 5. McFadden only 3 carries. Oakland receiving, it looks like it's going to be a situation. Denarius Moore, 1 catch for 17 yards. He's going to be the main starter, looks like, over there on the receiving end for Oakland. And then let's talk about the kicking. Eddie Carmona, 2 of 3. He got the most. He got one more kick than Sebastian Janikowski, who's definitely going to have the starting role. But do you think Janikowski will continue his consistency? Because he's been showing this for years on end. It's just consistent after consistent year for Janikowski.
He's been one of the best players for Oakland, and he's been staying dedicated to this team, and one of the greatest. I think probably the best kicker in the NFL.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's probably gonna be a Hall of Famer, honestly, because his success overall with all the stuff that he's accomplished over the years with Oakland, and the fact that he's sticking by with Oakland, it's amazing. Shane Leckler, the former punter for the Oakland Raiders, is actually now in Houston. Unfortunate about that for the Raiders. They really lost probably the best punter in the entire NFL. Shane Leckler is just an incredible leg. Raiders had 2 of the best kickers. Just overall, 2 best kickers. Doesn't matter if you're a kicker overall or a punter. You just have just tremendous legs out of Leckler and Janikowski, really having one of the best duo leg kickers, in all of the league. You have to say something you have something to say, Robert?
I have a question for you. How did the Raiders and Niners preview for their first game of the preseason?
The Cowboys-Raiders game was more of an offensive game. It had more points. The Broncos and the Niners combined had 16 points. The Cowboys had 17. And, it was more of a defensive game for the Niners. They need to improve on the offense. And for the Raiders, they have a couple things to work on. Nothing too big, but the Raiders did show that they had some good stuff. And that was a good thing, especially for the Raiders, that the fact that they're probably not going to be the best team in the AFC West, with the Broncos really overshadowing that entire division. But, the Niners will be on top of the NFC West come the beginning of the, near the middle of the end of the regular season. But anyway, let's final out the NFL sequence here on this all Bay Area shows, Deits and Stevens All Out Sports Show here on the National Sports Radio Station. Obviously the Niners will be the better team this year. Who's going to be name one player from both sides that is going to be the impact player this season for both sides?
Impact player for the Niners is probably be Vernon Davis, because he's really got to step up this year, especially without Michael Crabtree. He's going to be taking a lot more passes. Colin Kaepernick's going to be looking for him more. The Raiders so far this year, I would have to go with... This is a good question, Steven. I really like how you gave me this one. Let's go with the running game. Let's go with the Run DMC here. He really has to, start running the ball. His O-line's really got to help out too. I think he'll be an impact player this year.
I feel like for the Niners' sake, I'm going to say Nnamdi Asomugha because he's probably going to be making the team. He has no guaranteed money in his contract, but he will make the team. But he has to fill in a big role in replacing, Deshaun Golston, and that he left to Tampa Bay to join in with Darrelle Revis. And I think that his involvement and his improvement, hopefully, for the Niners will make it that Deshaun Golston never left San Francisco. It was just the same, maybe even a better player, Nnamdi Asomugha, replacing Deshaun Golston on the defensive end for the Niners, really being an impact over there. For the Raiders, I got to say Matt Flynn. This is going to be his first real year as a starter. He had one start in Green Bay that put him on the map for free agency, got signed by Seattle, nothing doing there. Russell Wilson takes his job. And then here, this is his first true opportunity. There's no competition behind him that's going to take him, that's going to take his starting job in Terrell Pryor or Matt McGloin or Tyler Wilson. It's going to be his job to lose. Kind of like Carson Palmer, it's his job to lose. And Terrell Pryor shows that, he's ready to be a starter. That'll be the case. But in my opinion, Matt Flynn is going to have a good year. And I think that that's going to be the key impact for the Raiders throughout the entire year. Let's go to another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors and, what's going to be going on with them during the year. A lot of improvements, and with Robert's favorite guy coming from the offseason this year.
Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, Andre Iguodala. And then what's Harrison Barnes' new role going to be like, especially as a six-man probably. And also we'll talk about the San Jose Earthquakes and talk a little bit how they've been struggling on the entire year. Which players have been really the impact players over there in San Jose? Chris Wondolowski. And, we'll wrap up the show after that. But when we come back to Deits and Stevens All Sports Show, we'll be covering the Warriors and the Earthquakes on this all Bay Area edition of Deits and Stevens All Sports Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio Station.
Another scene, a package like to keep us trapped in greed. A green belts wrapped around our minds, an endless red tape to keep the truth confined.
Hi, this is Sam Rosen, and I'm here with Sam Situation.
Good afternoon and welcome into the corner. It's Chris's Corner here on Spreaker.com, a national sports affiliate.
Hello and welcome to the Cameron Sadeghi Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Deits Sports Talkie. This is affiliated with National Sports.
Cameron Sadeghi, Chris Sylvester, Sam Rosen, Andrew Goldstein, Daniel Levy, and the entire broadcast crew with Commissioner Robert Dieters. You are live from National Sports Radio Station in Los Angeles, California.
One, two. This the I'm a Boss remix. Meek Millie. Let's go. I'm ride or dies and riding by Hollow West Side right inside of my Beamer 760i. Try me let off 60 shots again. We got the city hiding, popping like it's supposed to be. Do not Minaj and got no business standing close to me. So polar ferocious G. Things ain't a dope in me. Mind your business, watch your mouth when you approaching me. Socially, I like them, I don't love them, no. Cold heart emotionally. Hit me where the ocean is. Riding in the ghost and get slappy with a lot of spit until she's all of it. Calling shot, running on some big money. See her about my hustle, all these cowards on that punish. Rapping about a bunch of you ain't even done it yet. You the one they gunning at. How I'm supposed to honor that? You all talk dog flaw and I ain't having none of that. I'm big boss dog floss all day and run it back. Right. Huh. I'm a boss. I'm a boss. I plan the shots. I call the calls. We in this. It's going down. Yeah, and the kid that with my motherfucking crap.
Welcome back to Deits and Stevens All Sports Show here. This is part 2. We had some technical difficulties forcing us to create part 2. Part 1, which is about 19 minutes, is already on the previous tracks on our page, on our station page, the National Sports Radio Station, Deits and Stevens All Sports Show. And this is part 2, P2, part 2, whatever. You guys can actually put in the chat box questions and comments. They'll be respected and accepted. And, we'll actually talk about them during the show if you give us some. So let's go straight to some more Bay Area sports, as we'll talk about the Golden State Warriors now. As the schedule did come out recently, the Warriors taking on the Lakers, game number 1 of the year, October 30th against the Lakers. Kobe Bryant will not be in action. He'll still be recovering from that that injury that he suffered against the Warriors, ironically, at the Staples Center. So game number 1, what are your expectations over here in the season home debut for the Warriors.
Can't wait for Andre Iguodala to come out and play some basketball this year. A great defender, a great player as well, and it's going to be really interesting to see how a new starter is going to come alive. Steph Curry, another great player, and I can't wait to watch him as well. You have Klay Thompson, who's a three-point shooter with Curry. Andre Iguodala is kind of a man that could go inside, get you the dunks that he delivers every night, and it's going to be a lot of excitement this year, and I can't wait for the Warriors to come out delivering. You got David Lee, post-up shooter, coming off an injury. Try to play through it during the playoffs, but, you got fixed, and I can't wait for that to happen. Andrew Bogut needs to stay healthy this year, but the Warriors do not have Jarrett Jack or Carl Landry, but they do have Harrison Barnes coming on the bench. He's going to be a really good six-man this year.
I'm looking at the schedule here for the Warriors. They have a span from Sunday, December 29th, till Friday, Wednesday, January 8th. It's just a road trip. They play at Cleveland, at Orlando, at Miami, at Atlanta, at Washington, at Milwaukee, at Brooklyn. All in that, just an East Coast trip and a half. That's probably a 3-week trip for the Warriors. How do you think the Warriors will, perform with that big of a road trip? Playing some great teams along the way. You're playing Brooklyn, you're playing Miami, you're playing, Cleveland. That's, that got a former Warrior, like you said, in Jarrett Jack.
I think they'll go 5-2. This team has done pretty well. Hey, they done pretty well on the road last year.
5-2. That's pretty lofty.
They're only going to lose to probably Atlanta. No, they're going to lose to Miami and Brooklyn, one of the two best teams in the Eastern Conference.
I can see a challenge playing against Cleveland. Cleveland's getting better as a team overall. I think that's the reason why it's kind of enticing for LeBron to maybe come back, since free agency might be be the testing point for LeBron after this regular season. So that's what I'm thinking. The first couple months for the Warriors will be kind of easy. You're playing Sacramento. You're playing pretty formidable teams out of the Western Conference, playing Sacramento, Philadelphia, Minnesota, San Antonio, Memphis, Detroit, Oklahoma City, Memphis, Los Angeles, Lakers again, Portland, New Orleans, and Dallas. You have a couple of hard teams in Oklahoma City, in Detroit. They've gone better. But I think in the later month of December and then the beginning of January, that's gonna be the toughest month of the year, the toughest part of the year for the Warriors overall. And I want to see how they they perform after that, and do they get better, or do they stay the same, or do they get worse possibly? So let's talk about the team now. The Warriors team. A little bit different this year. No Andrew Bogut, no Andres Bianders, but they do have a player named Andre Iguodala. What was your reaction about that?
Oh, I was happy about that. I mean, I know the Warriors were probably disappointed that Dwight Howard did not pick them in the sweepstakes, but
who cares? I don't care. I'd rather keep David Lee. I'd rather keep Draymond Green, who's going to be, a key role player for the Warriors as the next couple of years go on.
And, Andre Iguodala is going to be a big impact player for this team. I'm looking at Kent Bazemore, and I talked to Kevin Dana, part of the D-League, and, he said when Kent Bazemore was down in the D-League, he said his worst game was 15 points.
That's pretty impressive. But I'd like to point out something. This is actually a question for you. I don't think Harrison Barnes is, happy or mad that, his position will be taken over by, his starting job will be taken over by Andre Iguodala. How do you think Harrison Barnes will perform out of the six-man spot out of the Warriors bench?
He'll bring a lot of excitement. He's going to play some different positions. I think shooting guard is a big one. Harrison Barnes is going to start getting used to. Power forward, you could be replacing him as a power forward because Carl Landry's gone. And Jarrett Jack, you replaced Jarrett Jack with Tony Douglas. Tony Douglas played with the Rockets halfway through the season. And, he was all right. He was all right. He averaged 8 points a game. And, I think he'll be just an okay replacement for Curry. Let's see, also, Jermaine O'Neal. Also on that list, recent free agent picked up.
Yeah, also Maurice Spites. He's pretty good. He'll be a good, what I can say, a backup for David Lee, and that'll be pretty good. Along with Jermaine O'Neal, that's gonna be pretty formidable for the Warriors. The Warriors have a good bench. They have Ken Bazemore, who'll be more of a role player than a bench warmer this year for the Warriors after his performance in the summer league, and also late in the year, especially during the postseason when he made that clutch layup against the Spurs to send it into overtime in Game 1 of that semifinal series. But I think that the Warriors will do great this year. I think that they'll be probably a 3 or 4 seed. I can't see them above that. I can see them maybe a little lower than that, maybe a 5 or 6 seed. Kind of like they were this year, maybe. I like to see them doing better, though. But, how do you think they'll do this year?
This team will do pretty well. I mean, it's going to be tough without Jared Jack and Carl Landry, 2 really good bench players last year, but they went to teams that they just got more money for, and it's going to be really interesting how this team really shakes up this year. Iguodala, I think, is going to make a big impact for this team, being a really good starter. So, we'll see what happens. This team is ready to work hard this year, and I can't wait to see what this team brings to the table.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm very excited to seeing what this team can really bring to the table, like you said, on both ends of the court, on offense and on defense. David Lee coming back from that hip injury, that's going to be very key. Obviously, he was a big, momentum swing for the Warriors when he came onto the court for just a couple minutes during the postseason after his injury, and that was key. And since he's going to be coming back, 100% healthy, that just makes the Warriors more of a deadly team. Even if they get to the playoffs with David Lee, that's just going to be extremely deadly. That's going to be a problem for a lot of teams in the Western Conference if they're thinking about playoff possibilities this year. And you have one more thing to say.
And watch out for Steph Curry this year. He just keeps on getting better and better every year. And, watch out for Bogut. I think Bogut can have a healthy year, and he's going to get some good playing time this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I feel like Stephen Curry is going to be a lot better. Not to say a lot better. He might be a little better. He's going to be more deadly from everywhere for the Warriors. It's going to be scary. He's going to be an all-star. It's going to be really fun and all that stuff. Let's let's go from basketball now, since that's a little bit to talk about. Let's go to soccer, Major League Soccer. Not a lot of people really talk about Major League Soccer. It was a little while that the Bay Area didn't have soccer. San Jose Earthquakes back in 2005, they moved their team over to Houston, as they're now known as the Houston Dynamo, and they created a new team in San Jose. They made the same name in the Earthquakes, and they've had up and down seasons. 2 years ago they struggled. Last year they made it to the playoffs. Now this year they're in second to last in the Western Conference. Obviously Chris Wondolowski, their main player, he has 7 goals in the year, but he missed a few matches due to his involvement with the United States national team. How do you think Wondolowski's impact will, the San Jose Earthquakes are not going to be a playoff team, but how will Wondolowski help San Jose as the year, just gets closer and closer to ending?
They're not doing very well this year. They're 8-10, and this team just really needs to step up. And Chris Wondolowski is their best player, and missing him is unfortunate, because this guy really brings a lot. He brings a lot of momentum to the Earthquakes, scores a lot of goals, and the only other guy behind him is Adam Jahn.
Yeah, Adam Jahn. Just looking at the schedule that the Earthquakes have had all year, they do have a few games left. They have a good amount of games left, actually, on the year. The next game is going to be against Sporting KC, or the Kansas City team, at Buckshot Stadium. That's going to be just next Sunday, 8 o'clock game. You guys can tune into that game on CSN Bay Area, or you just go to the game Looking at these games for the rest of the year, do you think that San Jose will go up or down in the Western Conference with the remaining games left in the year?
I think these teams could probably go up a little bit. Chris Wolowski, I believe, is back and ready to play. So I can't wait for San Jose Earthquakes to bring excitement. Last year, they were one of the best teams in the MLS. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Chris Wolowski brings back to this team.
Yes, definitely. 10 MLS regular season games remaining for the San Jose Earthquakes. They also have 3 Champions League games remaining for the 2013 group stages. I doubt that San Jose will be advancing to the next round after just losing just recently, about 5 days ago, to the Montreal Impact, 1-0 in their first match in Champions League group stage play. Let's go to one more commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with a couple more news pieces on Bay Area sports. You're listening to Deits and Stevens All Out Sports Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio Station.
1, 2, 1, 2. This the I'm a Boss remix. Meek Millie. Let's go. I'm riding, I'm riding by Holloway side, right inside of my Beamer 760i. Try me let off 60 shots again. We got the city hiding, popping like it's supposed to be. You not Minaj and got no business standing close to me. So cold up ferocious G. Things ain't a dope in me. Mind your business, watch your mouth when you.
Contact National Sports in a number of ways through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the label National Sports. We love to have you guys a part of our show and can easily join us also through text or call. You're listening to the National Sports Radio Station on Spreaker.com.
I'm armed till I'm on an island. My life's riding on an autobahn, on autopilot. Before I touch dirt or kill y'all with kindness, I kill ya. My natural persona's much worse. You've been warned if you've been born or if you conform. Slap up a cop and then snatch him out of his uniform. Leave him with his socks, hard bottoms, and bloomers on. And hanging by his balls from the horn of a unicorn. Y'all niggas intellect mad slow. Y'all fags know. Claiming you banging, you flaming. Bet you can light your own cigarette with your asshole. Me and Shady dead at the past, so that basically resurrected my cash flow. I might rap tight as the snatch of a fat dyke, though I ain't rap tight. My blood type's the 80s, my 90s was like the Navy, you was like the Brady's. You still fly kites daily. Catch me in my Mercedes, bumping ice, baby, screaming Shady till I die. Like I have a paradise, life's crazy, so I live it till the fullest, till I'm Swayze, and you only live it once. So I'm thinking about this nice land. Wait, don't stop me now before I get on a roll. Let me tell you what this pretty little dame's name is, cause she's kind of famous, and I hope that I don't sound too...
Okay.
Welcome to the final part of Deits and Stevens All Out Sports Show here on the National Sports Radio Station. Again, like us on Facebook as the National Sports. We have daily posts on there, questions that you guys can answer. It can be about your best team. It can be about your enemies and all that stuff. You guys can state your opinions on the National Sports Facebook page. Also, follow us here on Spreaker.com as well as Twitter.com and Instagram. Actually, we recently created one for Instagram is National #Sports, and then for underscore Sports and National _Sports, and then for Twitter.com it is National Sports 1. National Sports 1. Robert Deers is the main guy on that social media. He's pretty much helping me out, giving me out those big cards and telling me what to talk about. As we're wrapping up the show here on Deits and Stevens All Sports Show, we're going to give out some scoring updates for Bay Area teams and what to look out for very soon. I'll do this one. A's take the win against the Toronto Blue Jays 5-1 today over in Canada. And Robert, you take it away with some more baseball.
And we're going to go San Francisco Giants versus the Washington Nationals. That'll be later today. As the Giants...
Actually, that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow at
Yeah.
4:05 p.m. is going to be the SF Giants versus the Washington Nationals. Mass and Bumgar are going on the mound for the Giants. One of the most consistent pitchers for the Giants, going against Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gio Gonzalez. He was linked to the biogenesis investigation, but it turned out that he purchased legal drugs from that clinic, so he did not get any consequences or such. And Bumgarner, like you said, Robert, and I definitely have to agree with you, the consistent pitcher for the Giants and the all-star for the Giants this year in New York City. And they're the MLS game to watch for the San Jose Earthquakes. So Earthquakes need to get a win. They were looking for win number 9 as they taken on Sporting KC, one of the hottest teams in the Western Conference, a team that is looking to make an impact as a representative in the playoffs in the Western Conference. And then some scores for you from the preseason. Niners losing to the Broncos, final score 10-6.
And then going to Oakland Raiders as they won 19-17 against the Dallas Cowboys.
America's team, and Dallas, like I said, playing 5 preseason games this year as they play their 4 usual ones and then one that they had in Canton, the Hall of Fame game, as they took on the Miami Dolphins for the Hall of Fame game that they annually have. And I actually want to say one more thing about NFL before we wrap up the show. The Pro Bowl, they changed their format to a voting basis for guys who make it to the Pro Bowl. And then it'll be a draft format for the captains of the teams. What's your reaction to the new format for the Pro Bowl?
I like it because it's going to be a different kind of system. I like different in my opinion. It's really nice to see how something different's going to go down. I wish there was kickoffs and special teams, but not this year. There will not be. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year back in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a little bit different. Honestly, you're going to have AFC guys on teams with NFC guys as well. It's just going to be really mixed up. And, it's going to be very interesting to see how the fans would like that heading to the first year of the new format, all that stuff. But for me, in my opinion, I think I like it. I think it'll be a good thing. It'll be something different. But unfortunately, I think it's going to be a little bit old at the same time for some people. And this is more of like an NHL type of thing. The fans vote for the All-Stars, and then you have team captains if it's by, like, if your team made it to the Super Bowl or such, or if your team had the best record. And, I think that's going to be a good thing for the NFL, and with people, not just fans, but players with their dislikement of, if that's even a word, of the Pro Bowl format before. I think this one will be very helpful, and hopefully, it's going to be a little more, dramatic and a little more, just a little more entertaining than just a touchdown shootout between one conference and the other. It's going to be 2 different teams involving Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders, supposedly. So that's it here from the Deits and Stevens All Sports Show studios. Alongside me, Robert Dieters. I am Stephen Hughes. We are signing out here. Robert, you got any final comments before we are signing off?
Let's go Niners versus Kansas City. Can't wait to see Alex Smith back in the Bay Area.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a bittersweet sight to see. Well, it's in Kansas City.
Well, I can't wait for the Niners meeting Kansas City.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be very fun. I wouldn't mind watching that game, the entire game pretty much. I really think that the atmosphere is going to be different for the Niners as they're in Alex Smith's new home, and even though this is going to be the only time this year they're going to be facing them, it's going to be, fun to see the guys before the game reunite with Alex Smith and all this stuff. I'm interested in the Giants and the Nationals game. Both teams struggling the entire year with injuries, with inconsistency. That year is going to be very looked at by me, myself and all that stuff. So signing off here on the National Sports Radio Station, I am Stephen Hughes.
alongside Robert Dieters.
And we are signing out. Deits and Stevens All Sports Show will be airing next week, as we'll be trying to do once-a-week shows to give Bay Area sports a very new and exciting episode once a week, live here on the National Sports Radio Station. Have a great day, guys, and thank you for letting Robert Dieters and myself be a part of your day here on Spreaker.com.
Live from Los Angeles, we thank you for listening to another presentation of the National Sports Radio Station on Spreaker.com.